microdose, yeah, microdose, 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 dose, microdose, microdose, dose, microdose, microdose, dose.
What's good, y'all? Kush Hayes here, coming to you with the newest NBA postseason edition of the Microdose. Well, I gotta say, maybe I got a little carried away, a little overzealous. Maybe I just assumed. And you know what happens when you assume, folks. I cut to the chase. I am not, as of this moment, a part of this year's NBA Finals. The Warriors did their part. They got all the way there. I was a part of the first 3 rounds, so naturally I would just assume I would be a part of this one, but I don't know what happened. I have to just imagine that I did not earn my spot on this year's team. And there are multiple teams, but I was always a part of one team for at least 4 out of the last 5 years that I was a part of this thing. And maybe it's COVID just still affecting budgets, but it's the NBA Finals, so that can't be it. And maybe the guy running the team this year is in another state or another city or isn't even a part of the organization anymore. But even if the guy succeeding him took over, I can't imagine why you wouldn't want the same locals from the last 5 years. But it is what it is. So if you're the best person for the job, they can't do the job without you. But if you're just any old schmuck, there's always another person that they like better or know better or just does the job better. And, well, it was a nice May, though. It was the busiest May I've had since May 2019, when we were leading into the last time the Warriors went into the finals against the then Toronto Raptors. Why did I say then? It's not like they don't exist anymore. But anyway, well, thinking that I was a part of this year's finals, I didn't have a guest to book this week. I honestly thought I would be toiling away in the sub-basement of the Chase Center right now, just laying some cable. But we're here, so we still have to put together the show we planned. And, well, folks, it's a clip show. But if you're a fan of the Microdose, you're most likely a fan of these 3 people too. Coming up on the show later, we're going to have Drew Angelman stop in. I know Drew was just here a couple weeks ago, but he's going to come back on this one. And then Lord Battle from the Overlook Theater, he's going to talk another thing or two, and we'll get into that. But coming up first, Steven Steinbacher. He's a cinematographer and the editor of Len Kabasinskis' Pact of Vengeance. One of the best things about working on that set, Pact of Vengeance, was the friendships I made. And Steven Steinbacher is one of those friends. Me and this dude are always just texting back and forth. You know, like, oh shit, you know, The Northman was dope. Oh shit, have you seen Top Gun 2? Me and this guy just always vibing about movies. One of my best friends from that set. So he's got some thoughts on this year's The Batman. And folks, all of these are going to be outtakes. Not that there was anything necessarily wrong with the clip, just it went a little long, and taking it out of the episode didn't affect the episode's quality at all. But there's still some fun stuff in this. Uncle Kush might have had a couple pops, but I think you guys know that's pretty par for the course on this. But still, that was or was not a thing. I will at least leave it at that. But again, Steven Steinbacher talking the Batman now. Seeing the Batman by any chance?
I did.
What'd you
And
think
I
of that
liked
shit?
it.
Okay.
Okay, so it's like I think most of it is really, really good, but like 60% of the movie was dedicated to setting up other movies in a way I found like really flaccid and boring, I guess. It did like it did the appropriate thing where it wrapped all of these other narratives into like the main story, but at the same time it's like I don't know, I just felt like the pacing was really ruined because of it. And I don't know, like, can I get into spoilers? Can I get into specifics? Because I haven't like written a review or anything, but I do have some beef about this. Was that a yes?
Yeah, that's fine with me.
Okay, all right.
Folks, you've been warned here. We've talked about the Batman already. I enjoyed it. That third hour is abysmal, but
Yes.
overall I liked it. But you've been warned with this ramble. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Spoilers on.
All right, so like basically everything with Falcone sucks, in my opinion. I think
Really?
John Turturro is really good casting, and I like that scene where Bruce goes to visit him. I think that's a compelling scene. But then the next scene of the movie is him going to see Alfred, and Alfred immediately tells him something that like is supposed to refute what he just learned from Falcone. It just makes like 20 minutes of the movie totally negated, basically. Like Falcone's like, your dad asked me to kill him. and then Alfred's like, no, your dad didn't ask him to kill him. He just your dad just went to a mobster and asked him to silence a reporter. That's not what he thought would happen.
Right.
Okay. And then that's only even there because they're setting up the stuff with the Joker, which is like barely in the movie. Like they're doing the Batman's mom was in Arkham Asylum, and that's where she got like sexually assaulted by a guard, and that's where the Joker came from. They've done that in the comics before. I always hate when they do that.
Is the Joker going to be Batman's real dad?
I think it's going to be his half brother, because they went with like a young
that's also
guy.
stupid.
Yeah,
I've
I don't
seen
want
that.
that.
I've seen that in the past, and that's dumb.
Right, and it's dumb. And so it's like all of that stuff is lame, and like the scene where Catwoman goes to kill Falcone, like she all of a sudden can't do anything, like she can't shoot for shit. She's like really weak for no reason. Like, why is this old man able to strangle Catwoman? Like, it makes her look so weak in a movie that was kind of her movie up until that point. Like, I don't know. But at the same time, like visually, Greg Fraser killed it with his photography. Like, I like the look of this a lot more than I like the look of Dune personally, although that was still a good looking movie.
Dune won all the awards it should have won at the Academy Awards, not to sidetrack everything.
I mean, if a movie wins every technical award, shouldn't it probably also win like Best Director, Best Picture?
No.
Just my thought. I don't know.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
It's still half a movie, but what was on that
Right.
celluloid? What was in that MP4 file? Beautiful.
Yeah. It is a gorgeous film for sure. It wasn't my favorite movie by any means, but I don't know. I would have been fine with that winning over some other stuff. Not that I really care about the Oscars, but back to the Batman.
Back to the Batman.
I wish like every scene with a villain that wasn't the Riddler had been one scene. Like if we'd only gotten one scene of the Penguin, I would have been wanting so much more of him. But instead we go to his club like 5 times and he doesn't really have an impact on the story. He just has a fun. And like his scene is funny. He's there to tell a pun and then like that's it. He waddles off. Like a good visual gag, but like it's a 3-hour movie and half of these scenes are only there to like set up the Gotham PD TV show or in an Arkham Asylum TV show or something. Like,
or a Penguin TV show.
I don't care. Yeah, and then it's like all the villains you're seeing are villains you've seen in previous movies. Not that that's like a huge knock against it. It's just I didn't expect it to be like another super grounded Batman movie. Like I like that he kind of eats shit and he doesn't know what he's doing. Like his squirrel suit scene's really fun, but at the same time, like, do I need another like psychopathic Batman villain that's like, oh, we made it like a real movie? It's like Heat, it's like 7 or whatever. Like I don't know. Paul Dano. I
enjoyed the whole 7 aspect. Paul Dano is fun until it's revealed that it's Paul Dano. I also enjoy the squirrel suit scene because like every Batman movie we've had, for all the way going, even to Adam West, like he's running away from somebody. People are chasing him. He climbs up. He dives off. Perfect Olympic swan dive off of a cliff or off a ledge, and then he does something with the grappling hook or the cape extends or whatever. This one, he gets all the way on the ledge and then like stops. And like his eyes bulge out of the mask, and like, oh my god, I didn't think this one through. Shit.
Yeah.
All right, I guess I got. Then the stupid part where the squirrel suit comes in, and I was just like, oh, that's fucking dumb. But then he did concuss himself on the bridge, and I was like, all right, you're right. I enjoyed everything within the first 2-hour block. In fact, that going back to that third hour, that could have been the first hour of the next movie.
Right. It's too much. Yeah.
It's too much. It's too much excess. but there's still so much good in there. Like I like that we don't really hang out with Bruce Wayne much. I like that I forget Robert Pattinson is Batman until Bruce Wayne does show up. Like, oh shit,
Mhm.
hey, but and I don't have a beef with Robert Pattinson like all the other F boys do.
No, I thought he was excellent in the role. I really enjoyed his
Yeah, he was dope.
performance. Although
I
I've always liked him. I mean, I saw Cosmopolis when it came out, so like,
nice, nice. What is the thing where he's in a tracksuit?
tracksuit.
You see him. You're seeing plenty of memes with him where he's dressed up like a wigger. I don't think that's a PC term we can use anymore, but still.
Yeah.
But
Someone got mad at me for saying that a couple of years ago.
really fascinating.
Yeah, I think it's fine personally, but
Well, just in this room, and no one else can hear us.
yeah, there we go.
All right, it's just us here. All right.
Oh, you're thinking of Good Time. That's what you're thinking of.
Good
Yeah,
Time.
yeah.
Okay,
Where it's,
that's
like, kind of weird. Yeah.
the guys who did
The
Adam
Safdie
Sandler
Bros. It's
Safdie
excellent.
Bros.
Yeah, I love Good Time.
So overall, yeah, dude, I really dug the Batman. Funny extra Batman note is I'm at that film festival, and when X isn't playing next door, you don't notice it at all, but the Batman is playing, and you hear all of it the entire time. I'm hearing that doom doom.
Yeah.
Which is kind of fun when it bleeds into your found footage film that's not supposed to have any audio or any music narrative with it. It's like, oh, now things are getting really bleak here. One of my favorite scenes, again, that bled through the walls, is the reveal of the Batmobile. Where,
cool moment. Yeah.
It's a cool moment, but it's also going back to like the squirrel suit scene. Like he's so just hasn't thought things through. So he's just revving the engine the entire time. And it happens off screen, but you can hear it if you're listening for it. I didn't hear this through the walls, but like the engine stalls out because he's just fucking revving the engine the entire time. It's like, and then you have to crank it on again. So that's when the Penguin's eyes was like, oh no, this guy's really serious now.
Yeah.
Now I should probably leave. He was just revving his engine for 5 minutes, but now I need to go. And then the whole chase is fun. But
the chase is cool. It's definitely the best action scene in the movie. I was kind of disappointed by like the actual hand-to-hand combat. It wasn't bad, but it was a little clunkier than I was hoping for, like some obvious speed ramping and stuff. But I got to give it credit. It looks and sounds like a real movie in the way these superheroes movies just generally don't anymore. Like those, like there isn't a bad green screen effect in the whole movie because they're using these awesome 8K live mats basically for the cityscapes and stuff. And it all looks fantastic, like for a 3-hour movie. And that movie costs $100 million. It didn't cost 200-300 million like a lot of these do. I mean, I'm sure it was a little higher than they're reporting right now, but I'll give it credit. Like it was very, very efficiently made compared to most of these big blockbusters.
Do you remember? You might not remember this, but like it was a big deal when Terminator 2 cost $70 million, and then the next year Jurassic Park was a full $100 million. You're like, they're madmen. What are they doing? And now that's just par for the course. And now I'm impressed to hear that Batman was only $100 million.
Yeah, it is impressive. Like it's
I think even the Nolan films were more expensive than that.
They definitely were. Maybe not the first one, but the second and third were.
All right. What do you think the first one cost? Batman Begins, 2005.
Oh, I couldn't tell you in 2005. I also haven't seen that movie in a long time. I don't know. Let's guess 80 million. I'm going to look it up right now.
That's a fair guess. While you're doing that, I'm going to tell 2 stories about Batman Beyond. So Batman Begins came out in the theaters before HD was kind of a thing. And then HD became a commercial ready available thing. And my cousin, who has to get everything new, got the HD version of Batman Begins, and you could see like, oh my god, Gotham City is just made out of cardboard. This is blowing my mind. When I went to go see Batman Returns, I like to be by myself. Steven Steinbacher, I don't want to sit next to people. Like, call it whatever you want. Maybe I just don't like people. So
I feel you.
There's a period where I'm sitting in the handicap section. And I'm sitting in the handicap section for Batman Returns. We don't have assigned seating. It's just come as you are, first come, first serve. But obviously, give it up. So I'm sitting in a chair that's designated for a wheelchair companion. someone taps me on the shoulder on the right, and I look up, and it's the woman standing above me, and she's like, "Excuse me, sir, I'm going to have to ask you to leave." And I'm about to get into an attitude because it's 2005, and that's how young I am. And then as I look to my left, there's a guy in a wheelchair, and I go like, "Oh, hey, buddy. Yeah, Batman, no problem." And then I just politely excuse myself and find somewhere else to sit and just tolerate it. But yeah, I was like, "Oh, Jesus Christ." We almost made things really terrible there.
Almost started beef.
Almost started bad beef. Like, how bad would that have been?
That would have sucked. I can't imagine going off on a
self-restraint, people. It's a thing. You can do it. It's all right.
Batman Begins cost 150 million, so quite a bit. And then each one after that cost about 30 million more. So the fact that the Batman was only 100, again, pretty impressive.
It was very impressive. Jesus.
I thought they actually handled like the politics of Batman about as well as you could with the new movie. Like they kind of just like, they're like, yeah, he's a weirdo. I don't know. Nobody's saying what he's doing is right. He kind of has a bad influence on the world. His only friend is this cop who's the only good cop in Gotham, apparently. Like, I will give Matt Reeves credit for, I feel like he really understood just the visual comedy on a basic level of Batman as a character. Like him walking in a crime scene and everyone having to like shuffle away from him. Like that shit was fucking hilarious. I could have watched 4 hours of just him like watching people with binoculars as it rained and like walking around crime scenes like awkwardly. That stuff was amazing.
What do you think about the Batman, Robert Pattinson, just eating machine gun bullets at close range?
I don't know.
I mean, it looks good visually, but also just like, bro, you're wearing like 100 pounds of armor at this point. How are you doing?
Yeah.
How are you doing anything?
I don't know. Honestly, I really was not a big fan of the way the action was done in the film. Just none of the choreography was really interesting to me. There's one scene like right when he enters the nightclub and there's some good like prop combat, like he like beats a guy with a baseball bat or something. That stuff looked really good. But for the most part, I was honestly really let down by the action. It was just like still a step up from the way the Marvel movies look. I'm not really going to complain about that in comparison, but like compare that to, I know nobody likes this movie but me, but the warehouse fight in Batman versus Superman. Compare that fight scene to anything Pattinson is doing. I know he's like less trained, but I don't know. Like I kind of miss a Batman that could like punch someone so hard they flew into a wall and broke their skull.
Do you remember the guy that bent Batfleck? He spiked his face into the ground, and then the rest of his body just did a 90-degree like pose.
Yes.
Like his jaw is in the floor.
Yeah.
His neck is clearly broken, but his body is doing a 90, and then it does fall over. But talking about friendships that I've acquired during this whole podcast game. The Lord of Battle Mountain, Russell Fischer, he's been a good friend of mine. He's been a good friend of the show's. And just this past Microdose 115, he stopped by to talk about the virtual edition of the 5th year of the Unnamed Footage Festival. And we go over a little bit about this one movie called Alien Report. It's one of the most polished found footage movies I've ever seen. It does something really well with the found footage genre and makes it just a little bit different. It takes some alien conspiracy genres and does something a little bit fun with that. I'm a fan of alien conspiracies. I'm no Dan Aykroyd, but I think I impressed Russell Fischer here with some of my knowledge. And we talk a little bit about a book called Communion. That was a big hit in the 80s and would eventually have a movie with Christopher Walken in it. If you guys can, check that out. It's a dry rub, but still a good movie. Anyways, Lord Battle, talking the Alien Report from Unnamed Footage Festival 5.5. Now.
Alien Report was one of the ones that showed Saturday too, and
Alien Report. I was looking forward to Alien Report, and that did not disappoint. Did you ever see Christopher Walken Communion?
No, but I've read a lot of like film literature that always calls back to that book. Because that was
It's
like,
the driest movie in the world, bro.
oh,
And
really?
while I didn't see Fire in the Sky, like
Yeah.
I think it has as much alien time and as Fire in the Sky as there is in Communion. Like there's no, it's a drama about this dude possibly losing his mind. And did he get abducted? Most folks would say he didn't, but he really insists he did. And it's like the movie's interesting, and it's interesting when you're 11 years old, and it's probably interesting now in my 40s, but that book cover still haunts me at the
Okay.
book.
Yep.
Like it's just the photo, the artist rendition of a gray, and like again, like going to your friend's house that's super religious and they have the Jesus photo where the eyes follow you, like it. The book jacket of Communion does that. It's very
Now, okay,
unnerving.
Communion is the one that's based on a real book, right?
Yes.
Okay, because I remember hearing a bunch about
Whitley
that.
Strabber.
Right. What did he do? He went on like Leno or something, right? And they told him do not talk about the probe because he always would tell people about how he was anally probed. And the dude, I mean, believe him or don't, he seemed like he believed what he was saying.
Yeah.
And he would always tell people about it. And a lot of people point to him as being both the reason why aliens took off because Communion, but also the reason why nobody believes them because he kept talking. Like I believe he would say that the gray aliens, we got it wrong, that they don't look like that, but that they were wearing helmets, and that's they would take those off. So he has a
Fire
bunch
in
of
the Sky actually had that angle where like the gray faces that we're familiar with from like the book jacket of Communion were literally just masks, and there was a different face under it. I think Independence Day even like tried to take
they did a little, yeah.
So Alien Report, they touch on all those features. They don't go into like whether or not the face is a mask or whatever, but they really did lean into a lot of those themes from the Christopher Walken Communion film.
Oh, for sure. And like I said in that intro, I because I introed that movie and I was a little drunk and I went off. Dude, Alien Report's a trip because normally these movies are about a family in like a rural area and they're already kind of on the outskirts, right? And narratively what you're doing is you're making your protagonist kind of alone. And it's one of those things.
This was like central Chicago, right?
Yeah, it was Lori Lightfoot's territory. And we get a dude he's kind of exiled, but only because he's an oddball, right? And he's kind of hooking up with like crime people in the local skate park. And it's so unlike everything else. And unlike all those other movies where the whole premise is based on do you believe this guy or not? This dude has proof. And we kind of get to go through it. We see him like de-chip himself. We get to see like surrealist painting kind of art of what aliens are doing in their UFOs. Dude, it's a trip. I just hope that they continue with it because again, that movie ends with like chapter 1. And but it's one of those films where you feel like, but are they going to make more? And dude, Patrick, Kevin, if you're listening, you better. God damn it. We need
I'd
more.
be interested in seeing a second Alien Report. Like they did a lot of fantastic and unique stuff with that. Just, you know, they leaned into mythology is probably not the right word for this, but the mythology of alien abductions, like they hit those tropes, but then they're like, this is our spin on it and this is how polished we're gonna make it, and it looked great.
Oh yeah, dude, those aliens they're definitely treading the uncanny valley. They look so like that's the first question everybody asked them is like, where did you find the real aliens?
Right.
Yeah,
that makes sense to me. That makes sense because it was one of the better looking movies.
Oh, for sure. Yep.
Yeah. I wish I knew you guys better when UF2 was around, when you brought up the Blair Witch Project. Clark had the fortune or misfortune of introducing that, and he was just like, I'm drunk, so it's Blair Witch Project and go off. And I was like, oh man, like This movie came out in like 1999. There's so many fascinating things about not just this movie, but that year that it came out. Like this thing came out the same year that Phantom Menace and The Matrix came out, and
Yeah.
still did like amazing, amaze balls, as the kids will say, with it. They're remaking the Blair Witch Project again.
Mhm.
Now, they're what Variety said, or the True Hollywood Reporter, whichever industry rag I read, they went, this probably ain't going to be a found footage version. How do you feel about that? Because Blair Witch already tried to do that with Book of Shadows. By the way, there's no book or shadows in that movie, but they still tried to make it different. Whereas, Paranormal Activity, I love Paranormal Activity, like I love Fast and the Furious, but those first 6 movies, they're all kind of the same. And it's only that 7th one that I can't see because I don't have Paramount Plus. It's apparently like Book of Shadows. What thoughts,
It's
please?
not like it definitely breaks format. Like it would totally count in our like hybrid thing. But there is some weird editing that went on. You get the feel that maybe they had run out of like days to shoot or something. But for I don't know, for the remake, you know, the Blair Witch is weird. Like when the movie started, when it aired in 99, all of the reactions to it. Like, I mean, Kush, I have like 3 different books on they're just like literature about like the reaction to the film. So it's such a cultural thing. And yeah,
dude, I
one
stood
of them
in line to get into that little single screen theater because like that the hype was just that strong that weekend.
Yeah. We saw it opening weekend and we were walking home and we had to go through a cemetery because I was out here living in like Colma, which is a town outside of Colma is where they moved all the graveyards from San Francisco. So there's literally like
the town
the
people are dying to
population
get into.
Exactly. The population is rivaled by the dead. And I just remember going on that walk back talking about like, holy shit, was that real? And, a lot of the books kind of confront that, where people say the only reason that movie was worth anything was because they tricked everybody. And there's a statistic, it opened up the next year in Australia, and it had already been like a cultural thing, and everybody knew it was fake. And it got the same return at the box office. People still showed up and they still liked it. So people, they're thinking about like, well, what's going on here? And I feel like honestly that we closed the book with the Adam Wingard sequel where he did you watch that one, The Blair Witch?
Yeah. I was actually disappointed with it, which maybe is the wrong attitude or the correct attitude. I don't know. I remember going like, fuck this.
No, and here's the thing. You're a found footage fan, though. So that movie was made to kind of combat all the reaction where people are like, oh, there's no witch. Nothing happens. We don't see anything. Is it even a horror movie? And, all the literature I'm talking about, they all talk about how that movie's the original Blair Witch Project is a film about failure. Like everything in the film is a failure and I mean, like as an existential horror thing, not as like a film in its own, because the movie was anything but. And there's like, again, existential dread is what the Blair Witch Project is. And it's so counter to Studio Hollywood. Yet the sequel that I think is again, I stand by it. I think it's a perfect way to close the book on the Blair Witch with the Blair Witch, where it's the complete fucking opposite. Like they bring 80 million different cameras out there. We have a drone. We have a lot of kids who are savvy. They drive out. They know what they're getting into. And the movie has monsters. It's got gimmicks. It's a horror film. We even have a labyrinth. We have a building built. Like it's the complete opposite. And they literally answer every complaint people had. It's almost, which again, the fact that you didn't like it, it's proof that like, remember when Heroes came out or like,
that first season of Heroes is amazing.
Dude, but remember, like the internet started having a big say in Heroes. Like people go into forums and be like, "Oh, it's going to end like this," and writers were reading it, and they're like, "Well, fuck, everybody knows what's going to happen. We have to change it," and it would ruin it.
I wasn't aware of that,
dude. Yeah, or what was that other show? Lost. Didn't Lost have a big internet interference too?
Lost was the first TV show that had a podcast produced by the producers who went like, "Yeah, this happened, and they kind of explain the episode, and like, and maybe this will happen next week, and they kind of
my
try to
God.
misdirect you, but then like, haha, we got you. So we did this because, like, and they would dissect each episode, and that was exciting because that wasn't happening. Like, you were getting real insider in focus.
Dude, that's rad. But
Yeah.
you know, I think they learned the hard way that when you give people what they
Don't
want,
listen to the fans.
yeah, they don't know what they want. And the Blair Witch, dude, what a like. I think
Every
Simon
complaint
Barrett,
about the original Blair Witch was we didn't get to see the witch.
exactly.
And I was like, that was the best part about the movie. You didn't see the witch. Like,
Well, then
a bunch
dude,
of fucking hobos.
You're totally right. And here's the thing: people will be like, "Hey, we didn't see the witch," and it's like, dude, it's 2022. You're still fucking talking about it. Like, there's something there, and you don't even realize it. Like, this is still in your fucking craw. And the thing is, you know, Adam Wingard and Simon Barrett, they're the guys who did, like, you know, VHS. Like, these dudes they're tried and true. Like, they know found footage, and they came together and they made, you know, the Blair Witch, the one that was going to correct it. And it's like, oh, weird, it didn't work. And I'm like, technically, they crushed it. They did everything they needed to. It was a roller coaster ride. It was nonstop. But you know what?
Scene where Baby Girl is like crawling through the mud hut, or, you know, the mud tunnel. Like,
oh yeah,
I'm feeling all the claustrophobia there. Like, that shit is great. But then when we do reveal what the quote unquote Blair Witch looks like, I'm like, this is some bullshit. I hate all
I
of
think
this.
they even tried to walk it back, and they're like, oh, maybe that isn't the Blair Witch. And it's like, dude, who cares? Like, the movie they made, it fucking works. But yeah, I don't, you know, the audience, again, it was confusing. He gave found footage fans a horror movie. And like I said earlier, I don't think they're the same. Like, the Venn diagram definitely overlaps, but yeah, so I don't know. With the new movie, fucking do something different. Make it like Archive 81. I don't care. I just don't see the need to bring the name into it, because, you know, whenever they do a remake, they're trying to cash in on the audience.
Alien Report, yeah. If you're in a position to see it on a big screen, I would absolutely recommend it. It was one of the better movies that came out of Unfound Footage Festival 5. On to other friends. He's probably been on the show the most of all of our guests here at the Microdose, and he's the funniest dude in the room. I love bringing him on to talk about movies because I think he's got a fun and a fresh perspective. And when he popped over just a few weeks ago, Microdose 117, Drew Angelman had some thoughts about the Avatar 2 teaser trailer. Most specifically, what it wasn't. So we're going to get into that here. Drew Angelman, Microdose 117, now. But you know what, man? I mean, the trailer just premiered last night. You just saw it today. Over under, Avatar, does it make its December release, or do they decide to push it to summer of next year? Let's just get it out there right now, because it's already it was supposed to come out in 2014. Drew Angelman.
Yes. So we saw. So I saw the trailer. I believe you saw. You said you saw the trailer, right?
Yes, I did.
So
a whole lot of nothing.
So the trailer. If you go see Doctor Strange and you see the Avatar 2 trailer, you can tell this movie is not done. This movie is not even close to probably being done. This is the most generic trailer. It's just random scenes plopped next to each other with some stock music or some whatever music from Hans Zimmer or whoever did it. And it's just a bunch of random scenes. You can't tell what anything is happening. And then it just says this December. And I think that they're trying to bank off of the winter break. It's great. Spider-Man just made 260 million in his opening weekend during December. So I'm thinking Avatar is thinking we need to get out at December. But from the trailer, I think they picked and chose certain frames to work on from whatever house they're using. And I think they use not Weta, but industrial ILM. I think they just told them, like, we need to get something pretty out there. We need to get something digitally done so we can just throw something out on during this, like the right at the start of the summer, get people excited. This is the biggest movie that's coming out right at the beginning of summer is Doctor Strange. We need to get a trailer out there. And it just seems like the most rushed thing. And they were just like, hurry up, hit that render button, make the water look really clear, and people will think that we're kind of close. But there's no lines in it. There's nothing to differentiate than what you said before we even hit record, that this could all be deleted scenes from Avatar 1 that they didn't use. And they just put some music behind it going, all right, we did it. They think that it's coming out in December. I just don't think so. I think it's going to be moved. And I think they should move it to the summer of next year and give themselves an extra time, especially if they think this could break a lot of records like they did. Why even try to push this too quickly? And I think also Black Panther won't be coming out in November either. Right now, Black Panther 2 is coming out in November. I have a feeling that they're going to postpone that to February, like they did the original Black Panther. It just, there's so many movies at the back of the year that are having terrible times in production. It's so many things are just like, so many things are just crashing around it. And they're just like, we're going to hold strong. And we're all sitting there going like, you're not, just move it and be fine with it. Like, we get it. We'll understand. But I feel like they're painting themselves into a corner. And I highly doubt Avatar 2 will come out. And if it does, I don't think it'll be as good as they were hoping it was going to be.
So dig this. I forget where I heard this, but because you mentioned like Wakanda Forever is not completed yet. It's most likely going to be moved. So I forget which company it is. It could be just Disney, could be Netflix, it could be Amazon Prime, but one of the big studios has booked up all the sound stages in Atlanta and in London and in possibly Ontario or Toronto or wherever in Canada they were doing that shit. So all these and they're just sitting there empty, just for the opportunity that Disney can do a couple extra shots on Thor 4, or that James Cameron needs to do something with Avatar 2. And it's because of stuff like that the Flash has been pushed back not even a year, a whole 15 months behind where it was supposed to be. Also, that was supposed to come out in 2017. So yeah, right now all the production houses are booked, and that's why we're getting these shuffling calendars outside of COVID. I know you said you didn't see the original Avatar in the theater. They're going to re-release it. They're definitely going to re-release it. It was supposed to coincide with Avatar 2. Just remember, it was 13 years ago, folks. Maybe have a reminder. If you can see it in 3D, I would absolutely recommend you do see it in 3D, Drew Angelman. Like, it's those visuals, second to none. I don't know if they're the best anymore. I think Alpha is a much better 3D movie, but that's not the point. The point is oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I'll definitely go see Avatar 1, and I'll try to get it to see it in 3D. The problem is I have to wear glasses in the theater as well, so I have glasses on top of glasses, which isn't exciting, but I'll do it for Avatar 1. But the only thing that will bar me from seeing Avatar 2 in theaters, and we talked about it, is the runtime. If it is over 2.5 hours, even if it's 2.5 hours, that's the cusp where I'm contemplating what's coming out around it. Do I really want to go see this movie? And will I dedicate 2.5 hours? But if it's anything plus 2.5 hours, and you said you would think north close to 3 hours, and I don't put it past anybody thinking that it could be close to 3 hours long. I just won't go see it. I don't think it's going to be anything but prosthetics. And I worry that it won't have enough depth or content to drive it for 3 hours. And I wasn't a huge fan of Avatar 1 to where I would say definitively, yes, I want to spend 3 hours in this world just walking around doing whatever. I would go get tickets to Disney to walk around Pandora if I wanted to be there for 3 hours. If I really wanted to be instilled in that world for that long. But yeah.
When the original Avatar 2 came out, the original Avatar came out in 2009, I didn't see it opening weekend. In fact, me and a girlfriend would finally see it in February. She saw it with her family in Chicago, but then like we tried to see it like for 3 days. This is in February. All the showtimes were still sold out. Like we had to like buy tickets for 3 days later, and then it's still not reserved seating, and we still had to get there an hour early to the IMAX. It's pretty fucking crazy.
Wow.
So that thing had legitimate legs. It was still based all on the visuals, but a lot of folks got locked in that story too, to the point where like, I wish I was on Pandora and I feel so bad for those blue people. That happened. People went to therapy because they had like
Really?
they had like survivor's guilt because of what happened to the Pandorans or whatever those creatures are called.
Wow.
Yeah,
It's funny that you mentioned that you didn't see it on opening weekend. I remember definitively. I at least I think it's in the same general area of time, but I was with my family and we just decided like, oh, we're gonna go see a movie, and I really wanted to go see Shutter Island because I read the book. And I was like, it's a cool movie. It should be a cool movie. I like the book. And so we went and saw Shutter Island, and there was a ton of people in the theater. And I'm like, why are all these people here? Like, what's going on? And apparently Avatar was like around that time. And so everybody was going to see that movie, and me and my family were going to go see Shutter Island. And then I never really watched Shutter Island after that. And I never went and saw Avatar until I got a DVD from my friend. Maybe I made the wrong decision, but in the end, I think I made the right decision.
I don't think you should lose any sleep over not seeing Avatar in 2009, but that is that thing. We're like, wow, man, like that was a cultural milestone. Like everybody saw that shit. You didn't see Star Wars, bro? What? How did you not see Star Wars, bro? But I digress. I think we're at a good point here. The cinematographer of Len Kabasinski's Pact of Vengeance coming out on patreon.com. Steven Steinbacher, is there anything you want to plug? We got Pact of Vengeance come out, but Instagram, YouTube pages, etc.
Yeah, hit up my Instagram at RIP Steinbacher, STEINBACHER. And then my YouTube is just Steven Steinbacher, which I'm sure you can get in the show notes or whatever. Yeah, check those out. I have some good short films and stuff. But beyond that, I've really just been slaving away on this movie, which will be done very soon. So that's something. I have a mini series that's already been shot.
Shit.
Yeah, mostly shot. We have some like tiny pickups to do still. 2 episodes are done. So I'll probably start editing that. But honestly, for the most part, I am probably just going to get like a normal job and just like save up for a while. Because making a movie takes a lot out of you, you know.
I hear you. Lord Battle, is there anything else you want to plug?
Now, I think it's funny that you said because I'm so much younger than you. Because one of the things we're doing because it's May 7th, it's Rogerio Diodato's birthday, the director of Cannibal Holocaust, with whom I share a birthday with. So it's actually my birthday. So on May 7th, I'm going to get older. I'm going to catch up to you.
Just by a year. Not by much.
Just by a year. I don't know. I feel like I've aged 5 this year, so I'm catching up.
Well, I feel that too. Shit.
Kush, man, I love you, dude. Thanks for taking the time out to sit here and BS with me forever.
I love you too, buddy. Thank you for being a part of this. We have gone so deep on this. Folks, you can find Drew Angelman at the Box Office Party podcast linktree for all the deets on the social medias and where you can subscribe and like and tell all your friends about that fantastic show. Drew, is there anything else you want to plug?
If you want to see me talk about reality TV, you can go to youtube.com/Angelcake Entertainment. But other than that, I'm just happy to be here talking about the movies. I love talking about upcoming. So thank you for having me. I felt like this was a therapy session in itself.
Dude, thanks for coming out, man. Folks, you know I do some stuff around here. Coming up July 5th, Season 2 debut of Sweet Science Cinema. Me and Pro Wrestling Hall of Famer, NPC Comics' very own Jameel Hemphill. Him and I are going to be talking about Creed 2. It's a fun conversation. It's a fun episode. It's not a bad movie, but it's not the best movie. Spoiler alert. But we're hoping it'll be a good bookend for potentially Creed 3 at the end of the year. So the card is always subject to change, but what is guaranteed is July 5th, Sweet Science Cinema, Season 2 opener, Creed 2. Also, on YouTube, Waffle Box Podcast, me and friend of the family, Mike Fish, we do a little thing called the Waffle Box. It is the best part of Wednesdays, guys. You can take that to the bank. All right. We talk about everything and nothing all at the same time here. I should have a review for Top Gun 2 on this week's episode, just to let you know where we are. And again, YouTube, Waffle Box Pod. It's everywhere you want to be. So, for Steven Steinbacher, for Lord Battle, for Drew Angelman, I've been Kush Hayes. You've been you.
Microdose, 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 yeah, microdose.
From the BosNet family.
We need to get something pretty out there